Here are the notes for Child Development 2113, Nutrition, Health, and Safety. And our textbook is Safety, Health, and Nutrition in Early Childhood Education. We're on Chapter 11, which is Children's Mental Health, a very important topic as, we're caregivers and we want to keep these children in our care safe in every possible way. The objectives of this chapter are to discuss what mental health is and what it looks like during early childhood, to describe mental health problems that young children may experience, to examine the impact of adverse childhood experiences, trauma, and stress on your children, reflect on how to support young children's resilience and social emotional competence, to outline ways early care and education programs should be supporting young children's mental health, including engaging families. That's almost always a top answer. Engage the families in anything you want to do with the children in any way you can help them. Get those families involved. This chapter wants to explain trauma-informed care. So mental health in early childhood. From your book, mental health in childhood means reaching developmental and emotional milestones and learning healthy social skills and how to cope when there are problems. Children who are mentally healthy have a positive quality of life and can function well at home, in early care and education programs in school, and in their communities. Mental health is an important part of overall health and includes emotional, psychological, and social well-being. And although important at every age, early childhood educators must support a healthy mental foundation from the beginning. So, mental health and relationships. How does mental health affect a child's relationship with adults? I'm going to give you a second to think on that and get an answer in your mind about what impact you think that has. And I'll tell you that when a child is experiencing mental health challenges, it's going to affect their ability to trust, to communicate, and just to form healthy connections in general with adults. So it's really important for adults to provide support and understanding to help them navigate these challenges. And then it's similar with their peers. When it comes to a child's relationships with their peers, mental health plays a significant role as well, of course. If a child is struggling with their mental health, it's going to affect their social interactions, again, their communication skills, their ability to form friendships. So it's important, again, that we as adults are the ones to help provide a supportive and inclusive environment so that they feel safe to express themselves, to ask help if needed. And that includes asking help in how to interact with their peers. They might not ask it in that way, but, when they come needing help, you might think of tattling. Susie did this. Well, really, that's them not knowing how to handle a situation. So we can guide them in that way. Mental health equals social emotional development. In early childhood, mental health and social emotional development are very closely connected. A child's mental health influences their ability to regulate emotions, to form relationships, and again, to navigate those social situations. So positive social emotional development in turn supports good mental health. So we've got to prioritize both aspects if we're looking to help them thrive. These are all skills that are essential to school, to family, to community life, because they've got to learn how to problem solve and rely on healthy social emotional foundation to do that. Young children's learning is enhanced and often motivated by social interactions, such as engaging with teachers and groups of children. Interviews with preschool and kindergarten teachers indicate that children who have the greatest difficulties in learning are hindered by the lack of these social emotional qualities more than by the inability to identify letters or numbers. Because when children lack social emotional qualities, it can hinder their learning because those social emotional skills are the foundation of effective learning. I think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, and this is different needs, but our social emotional needs have to be met in order for us to go past that and to to cognitive skills and things like that. So these skills like self-regulation, empathy, and communication help children engage with others, help them manage their emotions and navigate social interactions. And without these skills, it can be really challenging for them to focus or to collaborate, work with others, to problem solve. And all of those are essential for successful learning. So cognitive ability is, of course, very important, but social emotional skills are crucial for creating positive and supporting learning environments so that then they can focus on those cognitive abilities. Children's mental health is linked with school skills, and there's a list of those on page 268 in your book, but we just talked about why, really. You can't focus on those school skills when your social and emotional needs are not met. Mental health problems are also referred to as mental disorders by the CDC, and these problems or disorders are described as serious changes in the way children typically learn, behave, or handle their emotions, which cause distress and problems getting through the day. So some of the most common are anxiety, depression, and behavior disorder, and other behavioral disorders are among the more common disorders diagnosed in children. So, anxiety, what does this look like in children? Some common causes can include academic pressure or performance expectations. And of course, we don't want that to be the case, especially in early childhood. As they grow and are still children, that is just going to become a factor in school. There is academic pressure, but we certainly do not want that to be the case in early childhood. Separation from parents or caregivers can cause children anxiety. I'm sure you've all dealt with that if you're in a classroom already. Changes in routine or environment. That's why it's very important that we have set routines and a consistent environment, because they thrive on that routine. Social pressures or peer relationships. Again, those get more significant as they get older. Traumatic experiences or stressful events can cause anxiety. We can't always help control those, because we can't control what happens at home, but we can help nurture them through it and be consistent at school. Family conflicts or instability, same. Genetics or family history can be causes of anxiety. Certain medical conditions or medications can cause anxiety. General anxiety disorder or other mental health conditions can cause anxiety. So sometimes it's the world around us that can cause anxiety. Sometimes it's the way we were made can cause anxiety. So it's important to remember, of course, that each and every child is unique and the cause of anxiety is going to vary. So if you're concerned about a child's anxiety, it's best to talk to their family about it first, involve families, and then a healthcare professional if necessary. And you're going to hear me say that on the next few slides. Realize every child is different, consult the family, consult a professional if necessary. So sorry, I got lost in my notes. So what you need to know as an early childhood teacher is to be aware of these things when working with children who have anxiety. You need to recognize the signs of their anxiety. Be familiar with common signs in children, such as excessive worry, restlessness, or sometimes even physical symptoms. You need to create a supportive environment, foster a safe and nurturing classroom environment that's going to promote their emotional well-being and provide opportunities for them to express their feelings. You need to understand their triggers, and those are going to be different for each child, but identify potential triggers for anxiety in the classroom in general, just like we talked about. Young children all need, almost all need and like routine. So getting out of routine could cause anxiety for almost your whole class. Transitioning from one activity to the next is often a traumatic, an event that causes anxiety. So having smooth transitions. Sometimes social situations cause anxiety, not as much with young children yet, thankfully, but that is something that can. So just be aware of these triggers and ready to support them. You're gonna have to individualize support for each child because each child with anxiety may require different strategies and accommodations. So again, collaborate with parents, with other caregivers, if necessary, with mental health professionals, and help teach them coping skills. You don't just have to cope for them and be there for them. You can help them learn ways to cope, like deep breathing exercises, some mindfulness techniques, positive self-talk. And these are all things that you can read up on and learn about if you've got children that need some help with anxiety. And encourage open communication. Create a culture in your classroom where children feel like they're comfortable to tell you about their feelings or their worries or their concerns, and give them chances to talk about their anxiety and just offer reassurance. Also, depression. So, some common causes of depression in children can be genetic or family history of depression. Sometimes there's not a cause. Sometimes it is genetic, chemical. It's just what's in them. As with adults, traumatic experiences or stressful life events can also lead to depression, though. A chronic medical condition or illness, of course, if you're a sick child, that could lead to some depression. The same could be true with a um, chronically ill family member could do that. Family conflicts or instability, again, academic pressure, but hopefully we're not creating any of that for them. Bullying or social isolation can lead to depression in children. We see that too often. Loss of a loved one or significant changes in the family. Being exposed to substance abuse. And that is not them abusing, that's at this stage, obviously, but that's just being exposed to others who are abusing. And the certain medications or hormonal changes can lead to depression. So it's important to remember, again, like I said, every child's unique. If you're concerned, you need to talk to the family, talk to a mental health professional if necessary. Some things to look for are persistent sadness or irritability, loss of interest in activities that they used to enjoy, changes in their appetite or weight, sleep disturbances, such as trouble falling asleep or staying asleep, fatigue or lack of energy, difficulty concentrating when making decisions, feelings of worthlessness or guilt, physical complaints, such as headaches or stomach aches without a clear medical cause outside of the depression, withdrawing socially or not wanting to engage with others, or saying negative things about themselves. So obviously these are signs of depression at any age, really, not just in young children. What you as an early childhood teacher need to be aware of when working with children who have depression is that you need to be ready to recognize those signs that we just went over. You need to create a supportive and inclusive environment where, again, they feel safe talking to you, where they feel included, where they can express their feelings. Again, collaborate with parents, and you need to individualize the support because it might look different in each child. Routine, again, helps with depression. Establishing consistent and structured daily routine provides stability and predictability for children with depression, just like it does for children with anxiety. So it can help them feel more secure and supported. Speaking of support, offer that emotional support. Be empathetic, be patient and understanding with children who have depression. Listen to their concerns, encourage them to express their feelings. Hey, and then there's also oppositional defiant disorder, abbreviated as ODD. And some of the causes of this can be genetic factors. There may be a genetic predisposition to ODD, meaning that children with a family history of the disorder may be more likely to develop it. But there are also environmental factors. Chaotic or inconsistent parenting, harsh discipline, neglect, or exposure to violence or trauma can contribute to the development of ODD. So these are things that as adults, we just have to make sure that, we do our best to not expose children to, because there are long-term effects to things like that. Their own temperament in general can be a contributor to ODD. Children with certain temperamental traits, like being highly reactive or having difficulty with self-regulation, are more prone to developing ODD. Again, those are often things that we can help them learn to do with the right social emotional education is, and so could help them from severely being affected by ODD. The parent-child relationship can be a cause. Difficulties in the parent-child relationship, like poor attachment, lack of positive reinforcement from parents, strained communication, these can all contribute to the development of ODD. And then it can often co-occur with other mental health conditions. It's often seen alongside attention deficit disorder, anxiety, and depression. So some common characteristics of children with ODD are frequent arguments with adults, just plain defiance, like in the title, or refusal to comply with rules, deliberately trying to annoy others around them, blaming others for their mistakes, and easily becoming angry or resentful. So they may also exhibit a stubborn and defiant attitude, have difficulty controlling their temper, and engage in vindictive behaviors. So it's important to remember that a proper diagnosis needs to be made by a healthcare professional for this if it's suspected. As a teacher, you should be aware of a few important things when working with children who have ODD. It's important to establish clear and consistent rules and expectations in the classroom. Of course, if this isn't happening at home, that's going to be a challenge that you'll have to really be persistent about and overcome. Not that ODD is always caused by that happening at home, of course. But providing a structured and predictable environment can help them feel more secure. So you should do that and also focus on positive reinforcement, praise for desired behaviors. Typically, that's more effective than punishment. Getting good attention is better than getting bad attention. Building a strong relationship with the child in which, they sense that there's trusting and understanding. And of course, collaborating with the families. Conduct disorder, often called CD, can be a combination of genetic, environmental, and social influences. Children with family history are more susceptible to developing the disorder. Environmental factors would be things like inconsistent parenting, harsh discipline, neglect, or exposure to violence. So very similar to what we've already seen. Social factors like peer influence, association with delinquent peers. Obviously, they're not doing that yet in the early childhood setting. And a lack of positive social support. So if their parents aren't helping them learn how, those social emotional skills like you are helping them learn at school. So it's important to remember that each child's unique, though, of course. And so you need to take this on a child-by-child basis. What you might see in children with conduct disorder is a pattern of behaviors that violate the rights of others or of the norms of society. Some common characteristics would include aggression towards people or animals even, destruction of property, deceitfulness or theft, serious violation of rules, and a lack of empathy or remorse for their actions. These behaviors often persist over time and can significantly impact a child's social, academic, and emotional functioning. So it's really important to figure out early if this is the case and to take measures to help make a positive difference, get a professional diagnosis if necessary, of course, get family involved. And you should be aware of a few key things as their teacher. Again, structure, consistent environment, clear expectations and rules, positive reinforcement and praise, building a strong relationship, collaborating with parents, the same things are going to help. Obsessive compulsive disorder. The exact causes are not fully understood of OCD, but there are a few factors that can contribute to its development. Genetic factors. OCD often runs in families. Environmental factors. Certain life events or experiences can play a role. There could be people who, maybe had some hereditary factors of OCD prior to COVID, but were fine. And then maybe something like COVID pushed them over the edge, and now they might have some OCD tendencies. So, it can be lots of different things. That's just one example. Imbalances in brain chemistry and abnormalities in brain structure can contribute to the development of OCD. So some characteristics may include repetitive behaviors or rituals that the child just feels compelled to perform, such as excessive hand washing or checking things repeatedly. OCD comes in a wide range of severity levels. So it can be hard to notice sometimes, or sometimes it can be really easy to notice. But they also may experience intrusive thoughts or obsessions that cause distress, like a fear of germs or a need of everything being symmetrical. And it's to the point that it can interfere with their daily lives and then cause them distress. So for you as the teacher, it's important to create a supportive and understanding environment for them. Be patient and empathetic. No matter how much stress it might cause you that they have these needs of symmetry or washing their hands, it probably bothers them even more than it bothers you because they really can't help it. So providing structure and predictability, again, can help reduce that anxiety that can lead to those situations. And of course, work with their families. All right, post-traumatic stress disorder. Children can have it too. Some common causes could be experiencing or witnessing a traumatic event, such as abuse, violence, accidents, or even natural disasters. The loss of a loved one or being separated from caregivers can also contribute to the development of PTSD in young children. When we say separated from caregivers, we don't mean, just the normal drop off at school, separated for long periods of time or in a traumatic and scary way. Common characteristics are intrusive and distressing thoughts or memories about the traumatic event. They may have nightmares, flashbacks, or avoidance of anything that reminds them of that event. So children with PTSD may also show changes in behavior such as increased irritability, difficulty concentrating, or hypervigilance. So as a teacher, what you can do is, again, create a safe and supportive environment. Understand that they may have triggers related to their traumatic experience, and being sensitive to that. Again, predictable routines and clear expectations can help them feel more secure. So, ACE, adverse childhood experiences. You've got a lot of material in this week's module about ACE and ACE scores and childhood trauma, because it's important and it can have long-term life-altering effects, to be quite honest. An ACE score stands for Adverse Childhood Experiences, and it's a measure that assesses the exposure to various types of traumatic events during childhood. These events can include abuse, neglect, household dysfunction, witnessing violence, and more. The ACE score is calculated by assigning points for each type of adverse experience a person has had. And the higher the ACE score, the higher the risk for negative health outcomes later in life. There are many, many studies over this. There are regions where people have higher ACE scores and have a lower life expectancy. And you can see it on maps. I should have included one of those in this. I'll have to try to find one and post later. But serious long-term life effects mentally and physically. So early care and education teachers and programs play a crucial role in helping children develop resilience to combat the negative effects of childhood trauma. Some ways that you can help are to foster secure relationships, just like we've been talking about, offer caring and consistent presence, being responsive to their needs. Maybe you're the only person in their life who they can get that from. So be that person. Creating a safe environment physically and emotionally. So predictable routines, clear expectations, and a calm atmosphere. It also might be the only time of day that they have any calm. And of course, there's going to be some chaos with kids playing, but there can be playing without, I shouldn't have used the word chaos, because there can be playing without total chaos. And there can be calm moments, and you can be calm all the time for them. You need to teach them self-regulation skills, teaching them strategies to manage their emotions. That can help them cope with stress, and things like we talked about already before, deep breathing exercises, mindfulness activities, calming sensory experiences. You can encourage social connections, helping them facilitate positive social interactions, and encouraging peer relationships can help them build resilience. Group activities, cooperative play, opportunities for collaboration helps them feel supported and like they belong. Sorry, I lost my spot. Okay, which domains of a child's development are affected by trauma? All of them. It can have a significant impact on various domains. It can affect their emotional well-being, of course, their cognitive abilities for the reasons we talked about earlier. If they're not emotionally well, they can't focus on the cognitive things. Their social skills, not knowing how to interact with others when there's trauma in their life, and even their physical health. The effects of trauma can manifest in different ways, such as difficulties with self-regulation, academic performance, forming and maintaining relationships, symptoms like headaches and stomach aches, but really even more severe than that as life goes on. Trauma can have several impacts on children, like emotional distress, leading to heightened anxiety, depression, fear, or anger, causing behavioral changes. Children may exhibit changes in behavior such as aggression, withdrawal, or difficulty concentrating. Cognitive challenges. It's going to affect their cognitive abilities, their memory, their attention, their problem-solving skills, because that's not what their body's focused on. Their body is focused on just making it through that trauma. And so it can't focus on the next things. They might have social difficulties, struggle with forming relationships and maintaining them. They can easily have trust issues, difficulty with social interactions. And again, those physical health issues like sleep disturbances, headaches, stomach aches, compromised immune functioning. Resilience is a product of interacting factors that shape how a child responds to traumatic events. So some of the practices in early childhood educators that promote mental health in children are the same things we've been saying. I'll say them again: creating a safe and supportive environment, predictable routines, helps provide safety and trust, building relationships so that you at least can be someone in their life who provides consistent care. You actively listen, you show them empathy. Teaching emotional regulation. You as the teacher can teach children strategies to manage their emotions. Again, deep breathing, mindful exercises, using calming techniques and sensory tools. One I don't think we've talked about is encouraging expressive play. Play is a powerful tool for healing. Educators like you can provide opportunities for them to engage in expressive play, and that can allow them to process their experiences and emotions in a safe setting where they know that they're supported. Of course, collaborating with families. Sometimes this can be difficult if what's going on at home is, the cause of trauma. But hopefully there's someone in that child's life who wants the best for them and will collaborate with you. Because it really is crucial. And a few ways that we can try to work with families is open communication. make sure that you share updates with them, concerns with them, progress. Don't just tell them bad stuff, tell them the good stuff. And that can be, at conferences, newsletters, texts home, phone calls home, notes home. Invite families to actively participate in education by involving them in the decision-making process, seeking their input and valuing their expertise, because you might be the expert on education, but they're the expert on their child. Providing family education resources and workshops that educate families about trauma, its effects, and strategies to support their child's resilience, empowers them with knowledge and skills. I mean, it really might make a difference in the way families are at home, and if it helps one family create an environment at home where they're less likely to providing a traumatic environment for their child, then you help that one family. So teaching them about the ACE scores, actually, let me go back to that slide. Included this link because there are lots of places you can find ACE scores. But I wanted this one because I think it's a site you could maybe even share with parents. See, it has a parenting resource center. And let me get to it. So daily tips to start reducing ACEs in your home today. So parents could sign up for ways that they can do better at home. So really this site is more focused towards parents. So that's why I shared this site on here, because it's one that you might actually share with them. All right. Oh, I don't think it shared that website with you just now, did it? I had it on the wrong screen. Here it is. Sorry. So yeah, Parenting Resource Center. This website is really more focused to parents than to teachers, which is, that's where they're going to get their traumatic events most of the time, is not at school. So anything that families can do to learn to make things better and make sure that their kids are not growing up where their ACE score is just growing all the time can help, all kinds of things. And then I have lots of links on here for you because, as I said many times, it's best to leave it to the professionals. You are a professional educator. You're not a clinician or psychologist or psychiatrist. And a lot of times children need more than we can do for them, which we can do a lot. We can provide them love and support and care. But sometimes the way that we do that is to give them help beyond our expertise. So here are some links and references for the slideshow. So I hope you learned something. I hope you are taking all this in. There's a lot to know in this chapter, and please reach out if you have any questions.